Hey, welcome back. It's a nice Saturday afternoon here in Houston. I was reading Hitopadesha this morning and came across a shloka that I had captured for my Subhashita book. It's about privacy, and I thought let me make a quick video about that. See, in the age of internet, in the age of social media, the space of public and private is blurring, right? People are increasingly sharing their private lives on social media, everything on social media. But the same people also complain about when social media, that is the platform that makes this sharing possible, uses that same information to make profits. So what are the things that should remain private, and what did Indian culture think about that? So when I saw that Subhashita, I thought, okay, these are a good suggestions from Hitopadesha that is worth noting, especially people who are on social media, who are forced to share a lot of their private lives for followers, likes, and all of that. It is always important to review that, make sure you're not oversharing. So let me show you that Hitopadesha verse. It says, Ayur vittam grihas chidram mantra maithuna bheshajam tapo danam apamanam cha nava gopyani yatnataha. Very beautiful Subhashita this is from Hitopadesha. So what it is talking about, Hitopadesha says, there are 9 things that should be really kept private, should not be broadcasted. Some of them, obviously commonsensical, that it should be kept private. Some of them we'll see whether it makes sense in this modern age to keep private. So first one, it says, that means your age, your date of birth. It's only need to know basis. Not everybody should know when you are born, especially when you are on social media, especially Facebook. You put your date of birth in there. You love when on your birthday you get many, many, many wishes from unknown people. It does not really mean anything. Do we really need to share that data? Right? And it's also true in this country, in US, and around the world, that your age and your date of birth need not be public, should not be made public. So that makes sense. Don't make your age, date of birth, and related things public. It should be only on a need-to-know basis, held within family and close friends. That's Ayu. Now, Vittam, that means your income, your wealth, your net worth. That's not something that should be broadcasted. In a bigger sense of things, it also means the status signaling that one does through Porsche, your cars, your big houses, and all of that. So it's all of them are included. And the Subhashita says, do not publicize it by saying that in words, and by in extension, by signaling through your status signalings, through your possessions. Because common sense, it attracts wrong kind of people with wrong intention. So don't publicize your wealth, keep it private. Makes sense. Then Grihashchidram, very, very interesting. Grihashchidram means your internal family feuds, fights. What happens in family should be within family. Do not publicize that. Do not publicize the fissures, the fights that's going on within the family, the disagreements. that should not be made public. Obviously, another common sense, because people might, have wrong intentions to create differences within the family. So do not make that public. Common sense makes sense. Mantra. So mantra is mantra sadhana, what that one is doing. If you're doing any mantra sadhana, it might not be very applicable to today's age, but those who are doing some kind of a mantra sadhana, you don't really have to publicize that you're doing 10 mantras. It actually decreases the power of the mantra. These things should be secret. All sadhana should be secret, should not be made public. I've seen people who make these things public. It's kind of like, I'm doing all this sadhana, especially on social media, I'm doing all of this sadhana. Really, not good, not to be done, should not be done. Especially if you're doing it, broadcasting it on a social media platform about all the sadhanas that you're doing, it's not really good. It decreases the power of the sadhana. There might be exceptions where you want others to know and copy, some sadhana. That's perfectly okay. But if it is just, I'm so great, I'm doing this, if that's just your intent, really, that's not good. Makes sense, right? Mantra makes sense. Maithuna. So your private life, your intimate life. What is intimate remains private. Do not publicize your intimate life. People don't need to know that. It's just for you and your family, right? So just keep those things private. Makes sense. Bheshajam. Bheshajam means medicine. So again, this comes back to, people who talk about diseases, the medications that they are taking. It's not something that should be publicized. Don't make those things public, especially unless it's your doctor that you're talking about or somebody that needs to know. So it's kind of, these are all the things that is a basis. So if it's a healthcare person, you need to tell them without keeping any secrets with them. It's like the opposite. But just because you're taking medications, you have to talk about your diseases and medications with people that don't need to know. Do not publicize those things. Then tapaha. Again, it's related to mantra. This is tapasadhana. That means if you're doing any kind of, like, say, fasting sadhana and other sadhanas that you're doing, don't have to be broadcasted, publicized. Because, sometimes we just tend to say, oh, I'm doing all of these things, I'm doing fasting, I'm doing all of that sadhana. But that would be just, another way of status signaling. I'm doing this, you're not, I'm great, right? It's another way of saying I'm great. No, sometimes, cars and houses are not the only things that you show off. You can show off also in terms of sadhanas and mantras. So these say that it should not be done. Your mantra sadhana should be private. Your tapas sadhana, like fasting, Navratri fasting or any other special things that you do, keep it private. Should not be public. Dhanam, beautiful. Charity. Your donations and your charity, keep it private. Sometimes people need to know, because you need to foster charity or a sense of charity within your community. So it is sometimes good to kind of publicize it, but really, don't make things public just for status signaling, right? See, if you look at all of these we make all of these things public because it's just kind of status signaling for us. So charity should not be a status signal. Charity should be for its own sake, for the sake of helping, right? So that is one more. And then apamanam. Apamanam is disrespect, dishonor that you have received. Don't make that public. Unless, if it is in a public setting that you're disrespect or dishonor has happened, and that needs to be reported publicly. Sometimes if an airline disrespects you, it's good to put it on Twitter, to make it public. Copy the airline Twitter handle. That's fine, but that is not that public kind of humiliation when people know that already. But these are private disrespect and dishonor and humiliation that has happened, that do not publicize it. It says, if you publicize those kinds of small things, you're making a small thing into a big thing. It might be a big thing to you, but by publicizing this disrespect and dishonor, you're actually multiplying the negativity further by giving publicity to that honor. So Hitopadesha says that should not be done for our own good. So all the 9 things that Hitopadesha says should be kept private makes a lot of sense. Ayuhu, your age, date of birth; vittam, your wealth, your net worth, your standing in society; tapaha, vittam; grihaschidram, your internal family fights and disagreements. And it need not be just family, even fights among close friends. Keep it within close friends, close net. Do not publicize it, because the comes out of it is much more than what you're going to gain out of making something private into public. Ayurvittam grhaschidram, mantra, that means whatever mantra sadhana you're doing, keep it to yourself, because by broadcasting these private sadhanas, you're actually lessening the power of the sadhana. Mantra maithuna, that means keep your private life private. Your private life should not be public. Then mantra maithuna bheshajam, your diseases, your medications, it's for you and your family and your doctor to know. It's not for everybody, right? Then tapaha, your sadhanas that you're doing, keep it private. It's not a status symbol to do a sadhana. Keep it private. Tapaha danam, keep charity private, because it should be for the sake of helping and not for the sake of broadcasting your status through what you have donated. And then apamanam, dishonor, disrespect, things that have happened that really, when you broadcast it, does harm than good to you, should be private. But things like public dishonor that has happened, that's very good to report, and also report to the public about what's going on. That is good to do it. So you need to have the common sense to discriminate between which one should be publicized and which dishonor and disrespect that should be held private. So these are the 9 things that Hitopadesha says that one needs to keep private. So according to the Hindu culture, there are a lot of things. There are at least 9 things according to Hitopadesha that should not be broadcasted out. It should be held private. Some things are meant to be kept private. Hope you liked it. If I come across any other interesting material, I'll make a short video for you. Until next time, bye.